All right, let's set the scene. You find the perfect online course on, say, Skillshare. You are ready to dive in, you click to get started, and boom, you hit a paywall. It's a moment we've all felt, that little bit of frustration when you're trying to access premium content online.
It's such a universal feeling, right? You're dying to master a new skill, maybe graphic design, maybe coding, but that subscription fee just isn't in the budget. It feels like a wall just popped up between you and the knowledge you were so excited to get.
But what if there was a little-known way around that wall? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive into a method that's been detailed in several online guides. A method that claims to do just that: bypass those paywalls and unlock that premium content.
And the secret ingredient to this whole thing? It's something you're already using every single second you're online, even if you don't really think about it. I'm talking about the humble browser cookie.
So let's back up for a second. What exactly is a cookie? The source material puts it perfectly. Just think of them as tiny digital sticky notes. They're basically small text files that websites leave on your device to remember stuff about you, like your login info or what you left in your shopping cart.
And how they work is actually pretty simple. First, a website creates a cookie. Then, your browser saves it. The next time you go back to that same site, your browser just hands that little note back to the server, and the server uses it to personalize your visit, like keeping you logged in. Easy enough, right?
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. The method we're talking about uses something called premium cookies. Now, these are not your normal, everyday cookies. These are the active session cookies from somebody who already has a paid premium account. And then, these cookies get shared online for other people to grab and use.
So obviously, the big question is, how do you actually take one of these shared cookies and use it to get access? Let's break down the process that the guides lay out.
So once you actually have the cookie file, the process of using it is surprisingly straightforward. First, you install a browser extension, something called a cookie editor. Then you just head over to the premium site, use that extension to import the cookie data you found, and hit refresh. If it worked, you should be in.
But here's the twist. While using the cookie is pretty simple, getting your hands on it in the first place, that's a whole different story. The guides describe this way more complicated process, and it's all designed for one reason: to keep automated bots out.
They actually call it the unlocking gauntlet. It's this whole multi-step dance you have to do. It involves clicking on specific search results, waiting for countdown timers, clicking on random images and headings, solving little emoji puzzles. You even have to click an ad and prove you did it. It's a deliberate maze, all designed to make sure a real human is on the other end.
Okay, so it's possible to do, but it's clearly a bit of a hassle. And this brings us to the massive question that's been hanging over this whole thing. Is this digital shortcut really worth it? Is it, too good to be true?
Well, as you might have guessed, there is a pretty big catch. This whole method is tangled up in legal risks and some really serious ethical questions that, honestly, touch on a much bigger tension in the world of digital content. From a legal standpoint, you're almost certainly violating the website's terms of service. That alone could get your account suspended, or maybe even get your entire IP address banned from the site. Plus, there are security risks to think about. I mean, you're literally importing data from an untrusted source into your browser. And yeah, while it's probably super rare, the platform could, in theory, decide to take legal action.
And then there's the whole ethical side of it. Think about the creators on these platforms. They often get paid based on viewership from paying subscribers. So when you bypass the subscription, you're kind of stepping outside the very system that helps these creators make a living and that allows the platform to keep making high-quality content in the first place.
So what this all boils down to is a major trade-off. On the one hand, you've got the promise of access to incredible content you might not otherwise be able to afford. But on the other hand, you're wading into territory with security risks, rule violations, and some pretty heavy ethical questions.
Now, what's really fascinating is the perspective of the people who actually provide these cookies. Their whole argument, which you can see in this quote, is that they're trying to help people who face real financial barriers. They believe that money shouldn't stop someone from learning.
They're pretty consistent about framing this as a temporary solution, not a way to just get free stuff forever. The core message is something like, use this to see if the platform is actually valuable to you. And if it is, and if you're able to, then you should absolutely subscribe to support the creators and the whole service.
And this, right here, just perfectly captures the central dilemma. It's a snapshot of this constant push and pull that exists all over the digital world. It leaves us with a really provocative final thought to chew on. In a world where knowledge is increasingly being locked away behind paywalls, where exactly do we draw the line between making sure everyone has access and upholding the ethical system that supports the creation of that knowledge?